The laughter cut through the room louder than the accusation or the threat of police. It was the sound that lingered. My boss stood in the middle of the open office, his voice amplified. "You stole company money. You're finished." Beside him, the CEO's son leaned in with arms folded, wearing that complacent grin people get when they've already decided your fate. "Dad called the cops," he announced, as if it were a favor. Termination papers landed on my desk. "Sign them," my boss ordered, "or we'll press charges." Everyone stopped pretending to work. Eyes tracked me, hungry for spectacle. I kept my composure. "No begging," my boss snapped. "Pathetic accountant. Cat got your tongue." They assumed I was trapped. They had no clue. I didn't sign. For years, the son had been careless with money. Petty cash disappearing, expense claims pushed to the limit. But this was different. This was deliberate. They'd crafted a theft that would survive a quick audit and pinned it on me. The police would take the lead when the CEO's son pointed a finger. I thought about the late-night messages I'd intercepted. Emails to offshore accounts, altered invoices run to my credentials without my permission. I was the only one who still had the originals. I'd been saving them for months. I watched the son's smugness and my boss's satisfied face, and let them believe they'd won. I packed my things with slow, sorrowful movements, as if beaten, but I wasn't leaving. I was stepping into the darkness they cast. That night, I pulled every hidden backup from my apartment. Years of financial trails, duplicate ledgers, screenshots, emails, metadata no one would think to tamper with. I followed shell companies back to a single hub, an address tied to a holding firm. The signature on the documents belonged to the CEO's son. Worse still, my boss's name showed up in payment authorizations. Kickbacks disguised as consulting fees. I worked until dawn. With every file, the picture sharpened. The theft they accused me of was a pittance beside the sums they'd siphoned from the company. The next morning I sat in my car outside the police station. Not yet. Patience is a blade. Blunt if rushed, lethal when honed. I needed an undeniable stage, something that would leave them no exit. 3 days later, the company held its quarterly board meeting. I walked in uninvited. My ID badge still worked because they hadn't thought to deactivate it. The CEO glanced up, baffled. Sunlight held itself on the meeting table. My boss's jaw worked. I placed a flash drive on the table. "Before you go any further, look at this," I said, without preface. The files unfolded on the big screen. Account statements, bank transfers, timestamps that traced access to the son's office, emails between him and my boss arranging percentages. The room fell silent, except for the rustle of papers. "This is forged," the son blurted. I didn't address him. I looked at the CEO. "The metadata is intact," I said. "Cross-check it with the server logs." The CEO's expression hardened as he read. My boss opened his mouth, then closed it when the CEO raised a hand. The son's grin vanished, replaced by a brittle uncertainty. The CEO faced the son. "You used my company to do this?" he demanded. The son stammered and pointed at me. "He's framing me." "No," I replied, sliding another folder toward the CEO. "These are printed records, certified by external auditors, signed 2 days ago." "I anticipated this," I told him. "So I hired my own audit. Every transaction traced, every lie mapped." Board members whispered, and one thumbed his phone. "You wanted me to beg," I said softly to my boss. "Instead, you'll have to answer to the police." 2 security officers entered. Not for me, for them. I added. I picked up the flash drive, slipped it into my pocket, and left. That evening the story went public. The CEO's son and the senior manager were under investigation for embezzlement. Former coworkers messaged me. I ignored them. I had already stripped myself of everything tied to that place months earlier. Today was simply the spectacle made public. I'm not claiming innocence in every sense. I had known about their schemes long before I acted, but I waited not for vengeance, nor for mercy, but for precision. They wanted to erase my name. Now theirs is the one that won't recover, and I sleep well.